All right, welcome to another great episode of the Dre and Smiley podcast, The Inner Circle. We have a great guest on with us today.
Oh, we have an amazing guest. Her name is Maggie, the substitute teacher. And that's a little misnomer, but we're going to get to that because Maggie is a home cook and she's a girly mom of two boys. She loves to struggle cook social media recipes on her health and wellness journey. Now, when I went to her webpage, her YouTube channel, and you see these scrumdiddlyicious, delicious meals she's creating, I need her to explain to me a little bit about what is this struggle? Because when I'm sitting there looking, I'm like, it doesn't look like you're struggling with all those tasty meals. So please, Maggie, please, first, if you could just tell us about who Maggie is and tell us about how you embarked on this amazing venture of cooking these social media delicatessens. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. No, thank you all so much for having me. But yes, hi everyone. I am Maggie, the substitute teacher, and I am not an actual teacher. I do work in technology. I'm a boy mom of two teenage boys, amicably divorced from their father. And I started a health and wellness journey where I cook sugar free, dairy free, and gluten free recipes. So I just take inspiration from everywhere, what I watch on social media, the cooking shows, what I would cook for the family. But for me, I make
Mm,
the substitute versions of them. So that's why I'm Maggie, the substitute teacher.
awesome.
Awesome. And so, what do you find is your favorite dish? You say gluten-free, organic. Seems like it's vegan type or healthy foods, but what would you say is your specialty? Steaks, ribs, chicken, or
Well, that's definitely, I'm not vegan. That's definitely not vegan. I eat meat, and sometimes there's the confusion because I avoid cow dairy. So I can have goat's cheese, sheep's milk cheese, plant based products. It's just something about the proteins in cow dairy that I'm sensitive to. But I would say my specialty, I love breakfast, pancakes, French toast, everything, scrambled eggs, bacon, like all of that. And I just try to find ways to make it tasty and scrumptious, as you would call it.
So,
so?
Maggie, you're speaking my language.
Okay.
Breakfast, French toast, pancakes. What time's the next cookout? What time should I be there? Yeah,
Oh,
we can
I
we can
love
have
it.
pancakes and French toast for a cookout. We'll make our own new rules.
Absolutely. There are no rules. We do breakfast for dinner a lot here. And I
Okay.
cook every day. Anytime y'all are in the Atlanta area, you're welcome. I'm cooking for you, no problem.
Oh,
Awesome. So you're the mom of two boys.
Mm-hmm.
My mother also has boys, three,
Mm.
and I always tease her and tell her that God realized her full capacity, and that's why He blessed her with boys. So
Is that what it is?
that's exactly what it is. That's why she's that's why she's as strong as she is today because of all the torment we gave her growing up. So, in terms of cooking for boys,
Mm-hmm.
tell me, was that kind of maybe part of uh, the genesis for being creative and your recipes and things like that? And then the follow up to that is, how do you cater to their palate? Because young boys, especially, we can be challenging to cook for. I imagine.
Palate or insatiable appetite. So to answer your
Yeah.
question, no. I don't get inspiration cooking for the boys because you guys are men. You probably know, like they like the same five things over
Pretty
and
much.
over.
Pretty much.
And I get inspired by recipes. I keep all of the cooking channels on, like on mute. I work from home. And so I would see these beautiful recipes and I'd be like, ooh, I want to try that. And they'd be like, Mom, can we just have spaghetti? And I'm like, for the 500th time, okay, I'll make spaghetti. But so my inspiration comes from what I follow and what I watch. Plus, I've been corporate since college and I've been an executive in the amenities space. So I get a lot of inspiration as far as plating and presentation from that.
Mm.
But really, my channel started as a way of me to kind of hold myself accountable on my health and wellness journey. It started with me just cooking privately, and then I would post the finished product. This is what I'm eating today. And we all eat with our eyes first. So I would try to make it look really, really attractive because I wanted it. And then people would say, first, like, did you make that? was like, yeah,
Yeah.
I made that.
Right,
And then
right.
they would come in the comments and say, well, how did you make that? And then I started typing, well, first you do this and then you do that. So the YouTube channel is really just my way of bringing people into the kitchen so they can watch me cook what I've been doing forever. I'm the daughter of a retired home science teacher. So I had a
Mm.
mom who cooked every day, and it's just how I was raised. But a lot of times, diet food is kind of bland, and y'all know it just doesn't taste
Yeah.
good. So
Right.
I'm here to enjoy the journey. But specifically, being a boy mom, and they're 13 and 15 now,
Mm.
growing, and I have one that's in military school and one that's an athlete. He's a swimmer, and he's
Mm.
this big, but when I tell
Yeah.
you that boy can eat, so I
Yeah.
just make the plates and stand back. Whatever they want. They eat their food. Then they're like, Mom, what's that? And then there's the after dinner snack and then the before the bedtime snack. It's just ridiculous. Anybody
Yeah.
who's been around growing boys, you understand. So for them, good quality food, really just exposing them to different types of food.
Hmm.
Always a vegetable and fruits on the counter. But yeah, the carbs, the pastas, the pancakes, the spaghettis, the burgers, just homemade versions of all of that.
It's interesting. So as you talk about that, I think about my own 15-year-old who I told when he was around 10, 9, 10. I said, get ready because all your life, until you're getting to your 20s, you're going to hear the same three things, which are you still hungry? Can, 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 can you eat all that? And then the third was, where does it all go?
Oh
And
yeah,
sure enough, his appetite is just,
it's
it's
crazy.
incredible. I lived
Hmm.
it. I was there, but seeing it is a whole nother thing.
Oh yeah.
I'm enjoying it. The thing I tell him is, if you're hungry, eat. Just don't
Hmm.
waste it, because
Absolutely.
you don't want them to feel bad about,
Hmm.
having an appetite. So that there is that. So think about that first meal you made when you realized, whoa, I have a gift. Tell me about that.
I still don't really think I'm that good. Here's the thing. So I grew up with the African Martha Stewart. My family, I come from a family of immigrants born in Ghana. And my
Hmm.
mom, well, growing up, we called it home economics, but now
Okay.
it's home science.
Hmm.
And I'll be cooking with my mom tomorrow. And if you've ever watched any of the episodes on my channel where you see Cooking with Nana,
Uh-huh.
she's still, and I'm 47, she's still,
Uh-huh.
Maggie, what's wrong? My dad, he says, he doesn't even believe that he says, Maggie, she's not cooking. She's opening cans and boxes. So this is what I get from my family. So I still don't think I'm that good, but I enjoy what I do. And
Right.
like I said, when I started just posting, this is what I was eating today, kind of like, okay, I'm going to get this weight off. This is what I'm eating today. And people started responding. That looks incredible. Did you make that? That's
Mm.
when I started saying, oh, I guess I'm not, horrible after all. So I just have fun with it, and I impress myself sometimes. But I guess when I started getting the response from people, and the channel has helped too because we all have different levels of cooking. Some people are just really really basic and they don't even know where to begin. I'm all thumbs in
Mm.
the kitchen, so the teacher in me comes out when I'm explaining. So
Sure.
yeah.
And Smiley, I'm gonna pass back to here in 1 second. One follow-up, Maggie, is what's one meal that because you mentioned, your parents are kind of like, you're opening boxes and cans. What's one meal that you made for them where they were like, whoa, you got some skills here? And then
Yeah,
Smiley, I'll
I
pass
would
it over to
have
you
to
after that.
say jollof rice is very common West African food.
It
Most of the
is.
African food is two components. There's a starch and there's a stew. So whether it's like a rice and stew or a plantain and stew or a yam and stew, but probably jollof rice, which is kind of if you think of a Spanish rice, kind of with the meat and the seasonings all together. I made that once and I didn't tell my dad because I've been cooking with my mom. And he's like, oh, Maggie made this? I waited for him to finish it. I said, Dad, I made that. And he was like, let me get the Pepto. And I was like, they keep me humble.
Oh man.
Yeah, they won't let me be great. So,
I love your dad.
yeah.
I- so the question I had is like, so my mother had two boys as well. I'm the youngest, and my brother's the oldest. But my grandmother, unbeknownst to me, he was spending a lot of time with her in the kitchen. And as we were adults, he invites me over his house and he makes these amazing meals. And I'm like, how did you learn this? He's like, Grandma, we call her grandmother Nanny. Nanny taught me. I was like, she didn't teach me. So my question for you is, are you teaching your sons to cook, or do one of them like it, or do they stand by your side like, Mom, I want to learn how to make the spaghetti or whatever it is.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm very traditional, but I also feel that cooking is a life skill. You should know your way around the kitchen just for some basic things, even though my mom cooks for the family and I cook for the family. But to answer your question, yes. So I've had the boys in the kitchen with me since they were little. I'm also an Airbnb host, and I had a guest who worked for HelloFresh. And so I got them started on those like meal in a boxes where there's the like literally color by number steps, and I would put one over here on this station peeling vegetables and another one over here. But yeah, my oldest, he can make his own ramen bowl. I taught him how to make sushi. Teach them how to make what they like. So usually what I do, as mom, I serve this is what's for dinner, and if they like it, the next time they ask for it, I say sure, let's make it together. Now, of course, mom, it tastes better when you do it. Lazy. They
Yeah.
just want me to do it. But
Right, right, right.
they do know how to cook. They know how to fry eggs, poach eggs, dice, steam, fry, with supervision. But yeah, they can cook.
I have a confession because my mother, and when we moved to Florida and I was in my 30s, and she's like, all right, I said, Mom, teach me how to cook. And she would get frustrated because I don't multitask well. And I would have to cook one burner, then I cook the next burner. And then she's like, we don't have 4 hours to eat because I would eat whatever I cook once. And then she's like, it always amazed me. She would have the stove, the four burners, the microwave all going at the same time, and it comes out all hot. She's like, I don't want to take a meal and have to re-microwave it because you. So that was my biggest frustration, and she just like, "Urgh." So do you find that was a challenge? Coordinating is the timing and to get everything to stop at the same time or be ready to eat.
Absolutely. And that is definitely a skill that I had to master. I don't even know if I've mastered it. I watched my mom do the same thing, and it was just magically delicious all at the same time. So it just comes with planning and knowing what are the components of the meal, and then knowing which things you can cook in advance. Let's say if you're making a salad, you could put that in the fridge, just have that ready to go. Also, knowing which things can stay warm. So if it's a rice dish or any type of casserole or something that you can cook and then it can just kind of stay warm. I always like to have like the main item hot off the grill. So if I'm doing fish, for example, or a steak or something like that, I'll have the sides already done because I still have to do them kind of time by time, but I do it in reverse order so that when the fish is ready to come out of the skillet, I'm plating and everything's hot and ready. So,
Interesting.
hmm
So, two questions. One
hmm
is the obvious one. Maggie, the substitute teacher. Tell me about that name. How did that come about? And then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I know, I know. So again, I started my YouTube channel. It's only been about a year old, but I've been cooking for
Okay.
a long time. So when I decided to start this channel, I was talking to my best friend about it, and I was thinking something lame like
Yeah.
cooking with Maggie or
Okay.
Maggie can cook. That's all I got. I'm not a creative person in that sense. And
Okay.
he said, nah, you're always doing stuff with these substitutes. Why don't you do something everybody can
Mm.
relate to, like Maggie, the substitute teacher? And I was like, I'm not a
Ah,
teacher, but okay. And it stuck and people love it. So that's how I'm Maggie, the substitute teacher.
nice. So,
Mm-hmm.
with your social media,
Mm-hmm.
it's been around for about a year, you mentioned. What's the most common question that people have for you about cooking in general? What's the one that just is repeatedly asked?
Um, I don't know if it's repeatedly asked, but the comment that I get a lot is a lot of people don't love it. And I mean, of course, I get questions about how to save money, how to save time, how to meal prep. But when people watch me cook, I'm singing and I'm dancing, and there's a joy about it. And that's just me. I know it's not for everyone, but I'm glad, especially having two boys, I'm glad that I enjoy it. For me, being corporate and having all the responsibilities of life, it's kind of my happy place. So sometimes people ask me, or often people ask me, okay, if I don't love it like you do, what can I
Mm,
do? Then I can
mm.
give them some basics, for example, to pick two proteins for the week. If it's going to be beef and chicken, just cook those two down and then find different things that you can use with those proteins. So tacos or spaghetti or whatever. And it doesn't have to be fantastic. The kids and the people in my life are like, yeah, just it's all good to us. We don't know what any of that stuff is. So
Yeah, yeah.
don't put pressure on yourself to love it, because we all have something that we're good at and something that we struggle with.
Sure, sure. The next obvious question for me is the balance. So you mentioned that you work full time from home,
Mm-hmm.
but then you also have social media that you have to create content for.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously you have to, cook for the family. So talk about the balance. How do you create that balance? What's the secret to that?
So there's no secret. Get up and do it every day. Um, I was very intentional. I mean, of course, there's lots of YouTube channels or content based on all kinds of topics, but I was intentional about cooking because that is something I do every day anyway. So I didn't, for me, creating content is what's for dinner or what do I want to make or what recipe did I see that's full of flavor that I want to try and skinny down, if you will.
Mm,
And I would be doing that anyway, even if I weren't streaming.
okay.
So I work from home. That's been a huge help. Before the pandemic, I was in the office, long commute, ripping and running, all
Mm,
of that. And I didn't realize how much happier I would be at home. So that's been a
mm.
huge blessing. So literally, I finish my Zoom meeting of the day and then go into the kitchen and turn on my iPad and I stream. I don't edit. I do have an editor who will do like thumbnails and, like little clips and stuff for me. But literally, my page is probably like 99% live streaming because
Okay.
I am not good at any of this stuff that you all do.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. I didn't think anybody would care, but people really like the process and the way I explain what I'm doing has been helpful. And then because the boys are older now, and if I'm being honest, my oldest is living with his dad now because boys definitely need men in their life, and we co-parent
Sure.
really well. So he lives with dad most of the time, and then my youngest is in an all boys military school, and he's in boarding
Okay.
school. So I have a little bit of an unplanned empty nest situation going
Okay.
on.
Okay.
So that has helped me to have more time, but they'll be here when they come through. Believe me, it's different. And they'll come on the
Yeah.
screen with me sometimes. You might see a
Yeah.
hand come through, and I'm like, hey,
Right.
I haven't taken a picture of it yet. So it's a family affair. But yeah, this is just how I live. So it's just a window into my world. I don't really feel like I have to create anything that I'm not.
Nice.
Mhm.
Nice.
So from the title you mentioned struggle cook. What recipe did you find? Whether it was an African recipe or a Mexican recipe, what one did you find that was really challenging for you that says, you know what, this really was this stretched me beyond my culinary skills because it was something that you didn't anticipate, or does that ever happen, or has it
Yeah.
happened?
It's happened. And the struggle cook kind of comes from the struggle stream. I'm a student of the lead attorney, and he always talks about how he struggle streams. And so I'm like, not only do I struggle stream, I struggle cook. I tried to make a creme brulee,
Mm.
and it's very simple. The ingredients, a lot of French cuisine is very simple, high quality ingredients. However, the technique is it's difficult for me. It's like you've got to make sure the eggs are at a certain temperature so that they're creamy enough, but they don't scramble. You got to cook the custard in a water bath, and then trying to take the ramekins out of the water bath with tongs so they don't mess up. Knocked it over, custard on me, custard in my hair, custard on the fridge. It was just,
Whoa.
yeah, I got a blooper reel, and it's in the blooper reel on my page. So, and people love that. I'm so embarrassed because I want to get it right and I want it to be perfect. And people feel like, you know what? um, we'll all get there or not. And I think that's one of the things that it's been a surprise for me, because watching cooking shows that are recorded, they put the perfect chicken in, they take the perfect chicken out, and then I try to make it. And I'm like, why doesn't mine look like that? And so having people, when I start, there's nothing on the counter. I'm going to the fridge to get ingredients, going to the pantry, and I'm like, all right, let's see how this goes. And they're in there with me. They're like, look at the video again. There's a cutting board there that wasn't there before. And so
Yeah.
it's a community that we've built. So I love
Yeah.
it. Mhm.
That's cool. So when you I'm so glad you mentioned the creme brulee, because once again, that's something that, it's like you said, it's the ingredients are small, but it's an art. So would you say, with your experience, say, as of cooking and making these various recipes, would you say it's 51% art or 51% mechanical? And that's where, like, when I just go back to my story with my mom, because I'm trying to, if it says point eighth of an inch of salt, I'm going exactly to the measurement. And she's
Right.
throwing stuff in. She's like, no, she doesn't measure anything. She just it was more art for her, whereas me, it was mechanical, and I wanted to be exact. So would you say you lean more to the art or the science, or does it become more art as you get experience?
I think the latter. It becomes more art as you get experience. Whenever I make a recipe for the first time, and we call them scholars. My subscribers are scholars because I'm the substitute teacher. That's what they name themselves.
Love it.
Yeah, we have, oh gosh, we have the scholars, we have a cheat sheet, which is my list of utensils. We have a teacher's wish list, which is, stuff that people buy and send my way. But the first time I make a recipe, I always follow it by the book because I'm learning. And I think that's important. Then once you get comfortable with the way you like your food, you can adjust seasonings. Everybody's stove is different, everybody's kitchen is different. I'm a cooker. I'm not a baker per se. That's what the
Mm.
boys called me when they were little. Mom, you're a good cooker. Um, so that's it. Just kind of stuck. Um, but baking, you have to be precise, and it's kind of intimidating for me because
Mm,
I like to have fun with it. And if
mm.
it's too technical, I get a little bit anxious, and then I want it to be perfect because I'm live streaming it. But, sometimes I'm like, okay, well, we tried, and there have been some fails, and people love it. But then I'll come back to the next stream and I'm like, all right, we did it their way. This time I'm doing it my way.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it does come with experience. So I would encourage anyone who's learning, and that's what I share. Get the basics down, know how to cook and a recipe from each protein, a fish dish, a chicken dish, a beef dish, or whatever you eat, and then experiment as you go.
So, Maggie, what's next? So it sounds like you're really enjoying where you are right now.
Mhm.
You're able to have the balance that a lot of people, strive for. What's next? Do you plan on having this channel, your social media channels, um, for the next 20 years? You plan on doing all this cooking thing forever and ever? Um, yeah, what's next?
Well, there's so much going on. So to answer your question, I mean, I will cook forever, God willing, as long as I'm able. My mom is over 70 and she still makes my dad's plate. So that's just the example that I have, and that's what I plan on doing. I would love to keep my YouTube channel. I've had a few viral moments, and so my channel is getting a lot of exposure. But not from the cooking space. I will always be cooking. I was invited to do a cooking collab. And then after the cooking collab, I was invited to a podcast, a live podcast that I didn't know what the topic was, and I didn't know who was going to be there. And it was about relationships. And because I'm very traditional and I don't really think it's anything that mind blowing, I said a few things that got clipped and went viral about just traditional roles in men and women. And so I'm now doing consults with younger women who maybe didn't have this example, because I'm old enough to have life experience, but young enough to be relatable. I do have a
Mm,
cookbook. It's a digital ebook, so you can get the recipe, and then there's a video of me actually making it. I've been asked to do speaking engagements. Let's see, the consults. We're going on a cruise. We're going to have a Maggie meetup in the fall. So
wow.
yeah, I mean, my channel 2 months ago, I had 2,000 subscribers.
Okay.
Today, I'm approaching 35,000 subscribers.
Wow.
Wow.
So this is very, very new for me. So
Yeah.
we'll see what the future holds, but there will always be cooking as part of it.
And so, if you were to guess, and maybe you don't have to guess, the significant increase in your subscribers came from a couple of those viral videos.
Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
So there's that. And then also the cookbook. How can our listeners get a copy of that? Can you
Oh my
share?
goodness, I'll have to give you the link. If you go
Okay.
to, it's on all of my social, but if you go to my YouTube channel, Maggie the Substitute Teacher,
Okay.
and then you go over to the About Me section, I have all of my links there, how you can book a consult with me, my cookbook. I also have a course because I was monetized on YouTube pretty quickly.
Okay.
I just have a way of, growing a community, and I share what I do there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's all of it is on the About Me tab on
Okay.
my YouTube page, and yeah, I think there'll be more relationship stuff too. I now do like Q&As, ask me anything. I'm no doctor, I'm no psychologist, I'm no expert. I'm just an older woman who's lived life and happy to share if it's helpful.
Nice. So, in
Hmm.
terms of your meetups, the cookbook, the consults, the speaking engagements, do you have someone who manages those things for you, or do you do all that on your own as well?
It's just me. Maybe one day, I'll be I'm going to need an assistant one day, the way things are going. And I
Yeah.
know it's coming, but right now it's me. That's why it's still a struggle.
Yeah.
Um, the long term goal would be and is for this to be part of my exit strategy. I've been in corporate
Mm.
since I'm 25, I'm
Yeah.
47 now. So in my 50s, I do believe I should work full time as long as the boys are minors, but they're in
Right.
high school now. So once they're up and out, I would love to have my social media be part of my exit strategy in whatever
Sure.
form. Right now, it pays for private school, so it's a great side gig, and I love that, and I'm
Yeah.
grateful.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as it grows, I'm definitely going to need help.
Sure.
Well, that's awesome. It's just when you think about your 2,000 to 35,000 subscribers, so you're a social media celeb. But would you say your majority of your listeners or followers, when you look at the demographics, is it mostly US based, Africa based, Asian based? And I asked that because we had a lady on and she's a seamstress tailor, and we asked her about her following, and she has people from New Zealand, Australia. She looks at the numbers, and she was just like amazed that her reach was global. So, would you say your concentration of your representatives is mostly US or from all over?
I would say mostly US. However, I'm embarrassed to also say I don't look at my analytics. I know, I mean, there's some people that put up a video and they're like, how is it performing? What is it doing? When I'm done, I turn off the camera and eat dinner. Like for me, it's I'm even surprised at it, but I have glanced and mostly US. However, I do have people all over. We have Europe, we have Japan, we have Australia, we have, I haven't seen too much in South America and a little bit of Africa. But what I've been really surprised at is my following can be anywhere from 50 to 70% male. And I was like,
Mm.
what are y'all cooking? And they're like, we're not. We just want to watch you do it. And I'm like, why?
You know why? That's why you know why.
Well, now I know, but I honestly, that's how naive I am. When I started my YouTube channel, I thought my audience would be me. Moms, busy working moms, trying to get a meal on the table for the kids, trying to keep their fitness in shape, but also like, try to do it all. That's who I thought would be interested in my channel. And I have that, but I also have um a lot of diversity in age. A lot of my audience is younger than me, which is really heartwarming because I'm a boy mom, so I don't have daughters. So whatever I can impart that's helpful for young women. And then just a lot of people didn't have that traditional nuclear family upbringing like
Mm.
I did.
Mhm.
So it's fascinating to them to see me and my mom and the kids and talk about my dad. For to me, it's just normal. So I'm at a point in my social media fame, which I am not famous, but I'm really trying to, I wouldn't say rebrand, but make sure that I address everybody who's found me, because the community that I had just a couple of months ago were all here for the snacks, right? And we were just doing food stuff and it was great. Then these relationship clips went viral and people were like, oh my gosh, tell us more about this. So I've had this influx of people who are now asking for relationship advice. And I'm like,
Wow.
I have a cooking channel, but okay, I mean, I'll tell people I was married at 25 and married my college boyfriend, was married for 10 years and loved being married. But I got caught up in that modern woman mindset and
Mm,
thought, I could do everything a man can do. And, that doesn't last over the long run. So two
mm,
boys from the marriage, and I don't regret it. It's amicable. But since then, it ended in divorce after 10 years. And then
mm,
since then, I've been in a long term relationship with a very traditional man
mm,
who says what his expectations are, and you either get on the program or you don't. And so for
mm,
me, knowing that I didn't want the burden on me until I'm 65, I've had to do a lot of work to refine, work on my femininity, work
mm,
on my speaking, just all of that. And I'm so much happier, but it was just my personal journey that I was doing for my own reasons. And when I
mm.
started sharing that part of it, all of these people started coming and looking for more and
Yeah.
more and more. So now I'm like, shucks, like, what do I do? But I am coming out with a femininity course, based because I've done a
Wow.
lot of work to refine for my own personal reasons. But what I'm realizing is that not only is there an appetite for food recipes, there's also an appetite for the way a woman should carry herself,
Mm,
the way a woman should respect a man,
mm,
traditional roles. And we are not equal, we are
mhm.
equally valued, but I think we're very different. And I think it's beautiful when we're together. So I'm
Mm,
starting to talk a lot more about that and cook.
nice.
I love how they both come together because you know what they're and I think also what is so cool is you said you're going to cook every day, so you just turn on the camera and you live stream. I didn't realize it was live stream, no editing, which is so real. It's like reality streaming because it's all there and sorry about the background, but yeah, it's just it's there. It's just amazing. So.
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
one last question that I have is, as Dre mentioned, what's next in the social media and all that different things. But if you had a chance to say, all right, I'm gonna focus all on the food or all on the relationship, or maybe you're a swimmer and you like to swim, or there was something you did, or you like to, I don't know, what would be another sort of thing? You got relationships, you got food. What would be if someone says, here, you have infinite time, what would you do with social media on? And just something like your hobby, or because what I thought was so cool is you said you were on a channel or you were on a pod and you said something about relationship and it just took off. And it's like, it wasn't even conscious. It was just subconscious, and something in the universe said, we need this, and people need that information, and they gravitated towards that one thing. And what's something that if you wanted it to go viral, I wanted to go viral because I have this amazing garden, or I wanted to go viral because I make this amazing, I don't know, I work on the body, I have a hobby car of the Porsche that I've been rehabbing. What is that something that's, or maybe it's your Airbnb, who knows?
Goodness, I know. And it's kind of confusing because there's so many facets of Maggie. But on that relationship podcast, again, I didn't know the topic, I didn't know the people, but it was about relationships. And the conversation always, when it devolves just into this contentious, everybody's standing on their square. And I'm like, why is everybody so angry about, women this and men this? And being a boy mom, I have just seen the way that you don't know unless you've experienced it how boys go through phases in life. And what I said that went viral, it's now got over 2 million views. It's pinned on my Instagram as well. I said, I think men do a much better job of checking each other because men see themselves in younger men. Women see themselves as younger women.
Hmm.
And to me, it was this part of this 2 hour conversation. People were speaking. I was trying to land the plane. The men that I've talked to in my life, especially when the boys are running amok and I'm thinking, what is wrong with them? Do I need to get them tested? They're like, no, mom. Okay. I played with matches. I set the backyard on fire. I did all that. And I'm a VP now, right? So I'm
Right.
like, okay, men can compartmentalize the phases of life. Women, myself included, I still sometimes feel like I'm forever 16. You know, I try to be mature and whatnot. So that's the clip that went viral. So to
Mhm.
answer your question, I always say I'm a small town girl with big dreams. And what I would love to do is be like a travel blogger and food blogger. I
Mm.
would love, like tonight, I'm doing a stream and it's a dining documentary. I went to a steakhouse in Atlanta and I've always just taken pictures and people really like my storytelling. So I'm going to describe the whole dining experience. I would love to work with celebrity chefs. Sometimes, like, maybe don't yell at me, Gordon Ramsay. I might start crying, but I would love to. I've never been to culinary school. Like, I am just a home cook. That's what I am. But I would love to travel different places, taste the cuisine, um, learn the different techniques and flavors that are local to different regions, and then come back and blog about it. That would be my absolute dream.
I
Awesome.
love it. I love it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, what's interesting, Maggie, as I was listening to you share your story,
Hmm.
right? How authentic you are,
Mm.
how
Thank you.
candid you are,
Mm.
right? Because initially, when you were saying that you do consulting and do relationship advice, I was just thinking, I wonder how how that comes about
Mhm.
because you're a cook. But then, as soon as you shared your journey through getting married and having children and beyond,
Mhm.
a light bulb went off. I
Oh,
realized,
yeah. Thank you.
this is what everyone sees and says, hey, let me learn more from her. Whatever, cooking, relationships, etc. So it resonates with me. I definitely see the value there. So
Thank you.
here's a question for you. What is one thing that most people don't know about you that you wish they knew?
I'm not at I'm not as confident as people think, and I often don't see what people see. I'm still on a journey. I still mess up. I still work on the way that I present myself. I still work on the way that I cook. I haven't arrived, and I'm just as surprised as everybody else that anybody's paying attention to what I have to say. I don't really think it's that mind blowing, but I do understand that people feel a connection, and I do love nurturing relationships and putting people first. So if it's helpful, I'll continue to do it because this is just me.
Love it. You mentioned not being confident. So my guess is that that's something that, or not being confident, but you mentioned you're surprised at the level of attention that you're getting. So my guess is that you and your dad probably joke about that. I'm sure your dad teases you at some point, like, "Why are people looking at watching you open up a can in a box? What's so exciting about that?"
I'm telling you, the kids, even the kids, the
Yeah.
swimmer and the military. I remember when I said, boys, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. And my oldest was like, you?
Right,
You?
right,
People want to watch you make
right,
my dinner?
right,
And I was like,
right.
then when I got 1,000 subscribers, I was so excited. He was like,
Yeah.
"Did you fall and it go viral?" Like, this is my family. So these are the people that are around me. Then when I went viral, he was like, "Are you buying subscribers? Like, they won't let me be great. Like, they don't believe I can do anything." So
Right. Yeah, they're subconsciously trying to push you. That's what they're doing in a creative way. I can't believe you won't be able to do this, and then subconsciously you're like, watch me, watch
Mhm.
me do my thing.
Exactly, exactly. Then when my channel gets monetized, then they're like,
Right,
"Oh, we were
right,
here all along."
right. And by the way, I
Yeah.
need some new Jordans.
Yeah. Well, well, we're going to move into the final four, and I think I'm going to put a little twist on the final four. I'll tell you, usually the final four is alive or dead, who would you want to have dinner with? You're at one chair and the other three chairs, who would you want? But the twist that I'm going to put on it, since you're a chef, a home taught chef and a culinary expert, who would you want to be? Who are the three, four representatives you would love to cook dinner for? Oprah, Obama, who would you want to serve and why? Because, and of course, you get to eat with them.
Oh my goodness, this is so hard. So, yes, I will say Oprah, Obama, and Martha Stewart.
Ooh,
Wow. Threw Martha in there and why?
Um, I've always compared my mom. I've called her the African Martha Stewart, and I would love some honest feedback from someone who's done it all.
Mhm.
love it, love it.
And Obama and Oprah? Why those two?
Well, well, I mean, Oprah.
It's Oprah.
Some people have said Maggie the next. I wouldn't even compare myself, but I know her story. I've watched her masterclass. I mean, we grew up watching Oprah, and I know,
Mhm.
like me, on the inside, she's a simple, small town Southern girl, and you always keep that part of you. Even though other people are like, you are amazing. And when you get to see Oprah in her natural environment, a lot of that comes out, and she's quirky, and she's just who she is. So I can relate to that. And Obama, I'll say Michelle Obama, because I didn't say which one. Mhm.
Okay, okay, okay. You
Ah,
clarified. Okay,
Mhm.
because I was thinking
Yes,
about Barack, but okay.
that's what I was
exactly.
thinking.
Exactly. But I
Okay.
would say Michelle Obama, a lot like Oprah, a lot of people got to know her after she became First Lady. But I'm a huge fan, especially her book, Becoming. She talks
Yeah.
about, I love anyone who comes from humble beginnings. I'm the
Mm,
daughter of immigrants. We came to America when I was one. My dad worked
mm,
at the Piggly Wiggly, my mom worked at Ryan Steakhouse, and now they have PhDs. So I just love
mm.
the story of being the underdog and persevering, especially for regular women, because, at the end of the day, we're not all tens.
Love it.
Mhm.
Love it.
Mhm.
What's been your greatest success?
Oh my goodness, just surviving with these boys. I know it's kind of like, oh yeah, but in all honesty, keeping the family unit, I mean, divorce is hard, and I didn't, I'm not proud of that, but I am proud that my ex-husband and I co-parent so well. A lot of the kids' teachers don't even know that we are divorced. We are a
Mm,
family unit. We talk all the time, drop off pickups. We work together. The boys know that we are still mom and dad. The in-laws are still, forever family. And so
mm.
it doesn't have to be ugly, even if the relationship doesn't work out. If you put the children first, it's just better for everyone. So I'm very proud of that.
Awesome. And so, what would you say is your superpower? S- Something that's
Mm.
uniquely you, that's your superpower. Superman flies, the Hulk has his strength, the Flash is fast. What is Maggie, the substitute teacher, superpower?
I have a joy, and I have a peace, and I always come back to center. People ask me, do you yell? Do you get mad? Of course, I'm a mom, but I don't stay mad. And so I can get over anything. And I've been through some things. So I'm able to communicate how I'm feeling. And I'm also able to say, okay, I need a day or I need a week, but I'll be back. And I think that just comes from a maturity, that you can just let people know, I just need some time right now. And then I do come back and I move on.
Mm.
Hmm.
It's interesting, Maggie. So Smiley, all his life, has had the name Smiley, right? Because, he smiles a lot. One of our listeners told me, she said that when I heard his voice,
Mm.
it sounds like he's smiling.
Mm.
With you, your joy, you mentioned that you have a joy, it shows through. Like as you're talking with us, that we've been on, this entire time, your joy shows through and your passion shows through. So yeah, that makes sense to me. Last question. So you're busy. You have a lot of irons in the fire. You've balanced it all well. In my mind, there's a book coming. What would the title of your autobiography be?
The title of my autobiography, Maggie. Um, I would just say a small town girl with big dreams.
Like
Love
it.
it.
Love it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow, Maggie, the substitute teacher with big dreams and small, coming from a small town. We really appreciate you being here. I mean, like Dre said, you have an aura of joy. I mean, and I've been smiling like a chessy cat since you've been speaking, and it's like your joy is infectious, contagious. So thank you. And you know what? It's on my list. I'm gonna go and start watching since you're doing live streaming. Because when I saw them, I'm like, man, they always cutting and editing. If it's live, I can follow. I'm gonna follow you and start making some meals. But thank you for being on the podcast. We really, really appreciate you, and thanks for taking the time.
You are most welcome. I appreciate that. Y'all can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitch, streaming as Maggie the Substitute Teacher. And tomorrow I'll be cooking with Nana, so you'll be able to see her put me in my place.
Awesome, awesome. I'll just add to that real quickly. Some guests we have, it's kind of like, oh, that was a good interview. I really enjoyed that. Others we have, it's like, whoa, where can I, you know, hear or see more about what's going on in the world? You're one of those. So yeah, I'll
Mm.
be stalking you on Instagram, YouTube, and everywhere else. Much su-
Absolutely.
much success to you going forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And there's always something. I'm figuring it out as I go. I do stream every day. So tonight I'll be doing a dining documentary and tomorrow I'll be cooking. So it'll be a little bit of a hodgepodge, sometimes food, sometimes relationship, but I'm there every day and I appreciate it.
Awesome.